were chatting about things today in the shop, standards, like what's a standard, you know? And like kind of mentioned about like measurements and testing. There's like certain standards, like mil spec standards, or, you know, and they list the equipment used, that the equipment itself that's used to make the measurements might be a standard. And, you know, so in a lot of them, you name it, whoever's doing the measurements, whether it be military or consumer or whatever, they tend to follow standards, you know, and using similar gear so that kind of everybody's on the same page. And I know, like in the headphone world too, you see in the recording studio side and the pro side, there's standards that exist, like kind of like a go-to standard headphone, you know, that's been around for years and years. And I guess, I guess really what we want to talk about is what makes these things a standard. I don't know. I mean, how does something become a standard?
Well, there's probably a few factors here. I think the main ones pretty much are it needs to be one of the best choices in a limited selection or by far a standout. And there are some situations where that's the case in the consumer side, but for the most part, this is more of a industry type deal thing where there's really only a few different measurement heads you could use to measure headphones. So for the most part, there's kind of ones that people prefer over others. And once more people start using it, it makes it more likely to be adopted by other people because, well, that's what everyone else is using. And if you want your measurements to be respected, if you want your measurements to be comparable, you kind of need to go with what everyone else is using.
So I guess you could say it's kind of a trend thing.
Well,
time is definitely a factor.
Yeah.
Like if everybody's been using the same stuff for so long, you know, it's like the
then what?
standard. Yeah.
It kind of becomes popular enough where it, for whatever reason, becomes a standard.
Right.
Yeah, which is, I guess, kind of what you see on other things. I mean, cars have that, right?
Oh, yeah, well, yeah. But that's for different reasons, like F-Series trucks. It's not because it's like the best vehicle or anything.
Yeah.
There's other reasons to it for like fleet purchases and stuff. So.
Yeah, but what makes it the standard, though? Because of the price? I mean, it's a reason. I guess a lot of things probably have to come into play.
Right.
Right? Price.
Availability.
Reliability, availability.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes it's just because you could purchase it more affordably in volume. Maybe that company's more willing to work with people, and so you see it more frequently. And you kind of see a bit of this even in YouTube. You see kind of sort of everyone adopting similar things from time to time. And it could just be because that company is more willing to work with social media influencers, YouTubers, that sort of thing, to either provide them with discounts or free product. And they may
just samples to play with.
Right. And it may make it look like it's a standard, which oddly enough may make it kind of a standard because more people see, oh, well, this is what they're using. This is what everyone's using. So I'll get that. But I guess the real question is, does a standard make it good? Does it being a standard matter?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
Could not.
Could be good enough. It's good enough to be a standard.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough. Yeah, because that's true. I mean, even though it's a standard, would you consider it? Would some outside that circle of whoever's using this as a standard would it be used as a reference? Let's say.
Is it the best?
Right. Probably not. It's probably just an all-arounder type thing. But I would say typically the worst and the best are outliers from what would be an average standard, I would think. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything that I could think of in any marketplace where the best of anything is actually considered a industry standard.
It's complicated because a lot of times what is the best is usually expensive. So it's really hard for that to be adopted as a standard unless it's affordable enough, or if you're in an industry that is tolerant of high price. So sometimes in some sort of professional industry, you could tolerate a little bit higher price. It doesn't really matter. But if you're a consumer, you're not going to spend 10 times as much on something if it doesn't provide you an advantage.
Well, one thing I could think of was like the movie industry. Like what would be their standard for
Well, there really is now.
for video?
Everybody uses different
Everyone
stuff.
has their own opinions on that one. That's the trouble.
Because I know there's like Sony, right? There's Red.
There's a lot.
There's
RE,
so if you're running
Panasonic. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different. And then you get into lenses. That's a whole different thing.
Don't a lot of these studios now mix and match this stuff too? They're not necessarily running the same camera.
Yeah. But then it just makes it harder to edit stuff. To make
right.
it match.
I think the reason why you see something more like a standard in some segments is just because there's no other product that exists that's nearly as competitive. So you see things like GoPro cameras used a lot in
Yeah.
certain spaces where you don't want to spend a ton on a camera, or you know it might get destroyed. You're not going to spend $5,000 on
Yeah,
a
those
camera. It's
things
going to
usually
get hit by
Yeah,
something,
they get
right?
abused pretty well.
But that's just because it's kind of the one people know. It's the one that works, and they're affordable. It doesn't necessarily mean it's the best, but for that option, for that use case, it is among the best.
I think that's is a standard
That
though
is,
when you
yeah,
think
they
about
pretty
it.
much are. Everybody's got like 10 of them. You know?
And
So-
you even if you like I know we had a special use case where we wanted to record the inside of our CNC machines.
Yeah.
We got a GoPro with a waterproof case because what else are you going to get? I mean, everyone's using it.
There's not a ton of options,
you know, It works. It does. You know, they work. You know, people snowboard with these things. It sure as hell be able to sit in a machine for a little while and take some videos. So, you know, bottom line is, we got this. We want buying it just for even just a single use or a special use application because I guess because it's popular. We know it exists. We know a lot of people use them, and they work.
It's an easy choice.
Yeah.
You see other people using it. You see it working. You go, oh, let's get that.
Right.
Well, there's a lot of support for it too. Then,
Well, that's
like
true.
there's a whole community. Someone's probably ran into the problem you're running into. So someone's probably came up with a solution.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's accessories and all that.
A lot of aftermarket stuff for it, like the waterproof case.
Right.
Yeah. In fact, I don't even think we could use theirs. I think we had to get an aftermarket waterproof case for it for whatever reason.
Yeah, we had another GoPro before, and
Chips
the
were
coolant,
flying or something.
the
Oh, yeah.
coolant damages the
coolant,
plastic,
Yeah,
degrades
right.
it and cracks.
It crazed the plastic.
Which
yeah.
actually is a common problem if you
Yeah.
for people that record machines. They all have that same problem. So
Yeah.
they all talk about, oh, we need a better enclosure and stuff. So
Yeah. Plastics and certain fluids don't always
It needs
mix.
to be the right plastic.
Yeah.
Right. But I guess that kind of covers it. I mean, you think about it, it's like, in the headphone world, I mean, there's been a couple headphones that we've heard rumored of that a lot of people have used over the years and become somewhat of a norm. But I know on the recording side, there's some stuff that guys tend to have all the time. Speakers are like that too.
True.
In the pro side, there tends to be like a certain speaker type that
yeah, like studio monitors that a lot of people use.
Yeah, and but there's such a mix
Yeah.
of brands and availability on that I think that's what really keeps anything from really, really, really taking over. But there are some general, I guess, things that people use all the time.
Well, I mean, if you just go sheer numbers, it'd be like in the headphone industry, it'd be like AirPods. They're like so way
Yeah, that's
more
true.
I mean,
Yeah, I think they got the numbers down.
yeah. So by numbers,
Yeah, right. There's nothing that even compares.
right,
But does that make it a standard?
right.
Well,
So-
I don't know.
In the sense that it's a reference more people are aware of, I suppose it does. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's the best or it's the one to get. It's one that seems to be preferred by a lot of people.
Well,
Yeah.
a lot of people have it on hand to compare it to.
Yeah.
It's like,
Right.
And I guess because of the sheer volume, you could consider it a standard.
yeah,
I mean, if you were going to run a test and everyone had to hear something, whatever it be, a tone, a noise, whatever,
Yeah.
tell us what you hear. If you ran it to only people that had that, that'd be a pretty good reference.
Yeah, that'd be a good headphone to pick for something like that.
Because
Yeah.
everyone's got it.
You know, a lot of people
other
have
than
it.
fitment being different in all different people's ears and stuff. But excluding that as being a variable you can control
Right.
in the test, that'd be kind of a cool thing if you think about it. You could hundreds of millions of people, right? You could give the same test to, and get. I mean, whatever the response is, if there isn't such
Depends
a
what
test,
you're
I don't know what the
testing
test
for,
would be, But it reminds me of eyesight or vision tests, which we talked about in the past, where it's like, there used to be old tests where it's like read the chart, and it's like, okay, well, you need this prescription, and you could be wildly off 1 or 2 degrees, where nowadays they have sophisticated machines that just throw all kinds of crap at you to so definitively tell where your eyesight is, So. I mean, that's kind of a standard, I mean, how people are measuring your eyesight.
that is true.
Hearing has standards, hearing tests. They have standard
Right.
protocols they follow, that they've narrowed down over the years of how to get the appropriate response out of people so they know where you stand. So,
Well, eye equipment in particular, I had an eye exam about a month ago,
yeah.
and I've been to like 3 or 4 different places, and they all use the exact same Zeiss equipment.
Oh,
right?
really?
They all have the same stuff.
Yeah, because it works.
Yeah.
It's hard to say with that one, though, because what I find a little interesting is oftentimes popularity drives more popularity. You get a positive feedback loop, so
That's
to
true.
speak. Because people buy this one particular brand or this one thing, it is more likely to make more people buy it. But at what point does it become a standard? Or
Yeah.
why is it a standard? And oftentimes, different products are effectively standards for different reasons. It could be because this one product is actually exceptional and people recommend it. Or it could be because people just use it for one reason or another. It was all that existed. And now, because of legacy, people continue to use it. But in fact, there could be superior alternatives. It's just, well, it's hard to fight with all the people in the past that have used it and had success. So you just keep using it, right? What's the big deal? You don't want to think about it.
Yeah. I can't think of anything. Come to think of it, though, historically standards exist, but more recently, I can't think of anything like in the consumer side that really, other than what we just talked about with the Apple.
Yeah, there's not a ton
But there's
consumer
really,
facing
yeah,
that's
there's
really
'cause
standard.
I think part of it because models continuously change.
Yeah.
So there's
Well,
nothing,
yeah.
something that's out there long enough to stick, to really catch hold
new
and say,
next best greatest thing.
yeah, it's just what's next every year. or
Consumers are more likely to want to buy a new thing rather than the old thing or the thing that everybody's been using.
whatever.
And it depends on the industry, but in general, people more likely just want the newest thing. In industry, oftentimes you want a thing that works.
Well,
What's
it's like
going to deliver?
These are like,
Right.
You see every machine shop runs
Yeah, you're not
tutorial.
reinventing the wheel. You know it
Yeah.
works. So what's the point of getting a new thing? Is it
Yeah.
going to work better?
Right.
Maybe, but you know that works just fine. So why not just go with that?
And
Something you trust.
The quality's probably consistent, and right, you can trust it. You
Right.
buy it, you know it's going to work. It's going to. It's
Yep.
not just
It's
going
like
to.
a fluke multimeter. You can get cheaper ones, but you trust in
That,
that.
now
do you
that
trust
is,
it?
now that
In-
is a long-term standard.
Yeah.
In fact, it seems like everybody who's anybody, if you ain't got a fluke,
You got to have a fluke. Yeah.
you're not measuring stuff.
I mean, sure. If you're just measuring like 12-volt batteries, yeah, you can use a
Particularly-
Harbor Freight meter. But
Particularly the true RMS flukes.
well,
You
I
bust
think
up
they
and
all are.
Get to
now.
the $300 and up range now. We're talking, but
I think even the cheaper
Yeah.
ones are.
are
Still.
they?
Yeah.
I don't know. True RMS are always more expensive. I haven't looked recently, but a true RMS fluke
Yeah,
brand,
yeah,
I don't think they're cheap.
yeah. They're made in China now though.
Oh,
For those the $100 ones.
they have $100 true RMS.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, that I didn't know. Haven't looked. For
Yeah, I'm
one in a
pretty
while.
sure they're
Pretty sure.
Chinese model. It might be 60 or 70 or
It
something.
might only be sold in the Chinese market though.
You could
Ah.
get them imported.
Yeah.
Though, but
Oh,
yeah.
I see. So it's one of those things.
Yeah, like $120,
Yeah.
something like that.
Well, I mean, but it's true though. That is a bit of a because when you see that bright yellow case,
Yep.
you pretty much know it's a fluke, and you know the hard rubber exterior they have to it, and blah blah blah. It's got a look,
Yeah.
and yeah, that's true. Hell, that's been around forever. I mean,
Yeah.
we had flukes back in the day when I started playing fixing things. So
But that's another example that it doesn't necessarily mean it's the best just because it's the standard.
It's
That just
trust it.
happens to be the one people trust.
right,
So from their experience, this one worked well, and that continues on for a long time in certain industries
Yeah,
because
decades.
well, nobody really comes out with a meter that provides massively enhanced functionality at a lower cost. So I'll just buy the one that I know works because you're measuring voltages now just like you were 10 years ago for the most part, and things like that. If you're checking impedance or something, you're checking continuity. For the most part, you're not getting huge additional functionality of a new product. So you're not worried about finding the latest and the greatest.
Well, it's just like measurement equipment.
Yeah.
You
If
know,
it measures today, it'll measure in 10 years,
Yeah,
right? It just doesn't really matter what features and whatnot you add. They don't provide huge advantages to
Well, from-
most consumers.
well, then from a business perspective, if you were the company that's the standard, it pays to be a standard because you could go out decades with this thing as as long as the whatever you're standardizing still exists.
As long as you still make a good quality product,
you know,
yeah.
and people need it. I mean, there's a need for it, and it doesn't, for whatever reason, technology or otherwise, become obsolete. So, yeah.
I mean, you kind of see that inertia though with things like auto brands. You see that things with all kinds of things, consumer facing, where people perceive one company or brand as making good product or even bad product, and it takes a long time for that to change.
Yeah, that's true.
There's a lot of industries where it could be 10, 15, 20 years to really shift a perception. So that's the trouble. It's both good and bad. If you're making good product, well, it's great for you, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's the best for the consumer because it very well could be that your new product isn't actually that great.
Yeah. Or it's better than anything else, but no one
nobody
really
checks.
figured it out because
Yeah.
they get the standard.
I can think of one example of something that is used professionally and consumers can buy it and do buy it, and that would be Milwaukee power tools.
Yeah.
Like Sparks use them all the time. They're used professionally.
Sparks,
Yeah.
Sparkies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like that's what everybody uses in the
Yeah.
industry, and you can buy them at Home Depot.
Isn't
you
that
know?
the circular saw guide? Isn't that a Milwaukee, the blue one?
No, that's Makita.
Makita. I like the Makita.
We only have we have all
Milwaukee. Oh, they're red.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I still love them on my Kita. That's a nice circular saw. Nice
The Kitas are
bearings.
pretty nice, but
Yeah.
most people in
Milwaukee.
plumbing
Yeah.
and stuff. Yeah.
Again, it's probably just balances price with availability. It's
and
Right.
performance.
easy to get parts. They're not
Yeah.
parts, but easy to fix or whatever.
They work. They're
Yeah.
not expensive
Yeah.
comparatively.
Everyone's got a million batteries laying
Right.
around for them.
Right.
You know,
It makes sense. Especially in that industry. You know, we were beating the shit out of things every
Yeah.
day of the week. It kind of
oh
makes
yeah,
sense.
you figure out what works.
You're not
and-
buying the most expensive thing
Yeah,
because you
no.
can't afford to because
Yeah, you're
things are
going to
getting,
drop it in a puddle or
Yeah,
something.
Yeah, it'll break before it breaks. You know,
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
the Milwaukee stuff is on the higher end of things, but yeah, it's a
Yeah.
little more, but you get more performance. So
Yeah. So I guess we kind of
Yeah.
figured that out. Whatever the hell this whole standard thing
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Onward and upward.
Mm.
Thank you everybody for watching us, and remember to subscribe because we're looking to hit 20,000 by the end of the year. So we got a lot to go.
Oh, that's
That's going to be tough.
Good luck with that. Yeah. But anyway, thank you everyone. Take care.